many of you have heard all millennials are broke, unemployed, living in their parents' basements among a collection of participation trophies that they've never freaking earned? A lot of marketers and business leaders have a misguided view of millennials and Gen Z. They believe they're tech-obsessed, lazy, and entitled. Not only is it inaccurate, it's not a great way of thinking about winning over $1 trillion of buying power. These younger generations are the canary in the coal mine when it comes to trends. They influence other young people, and they influence people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s on trends. People who are older get their clues from people who are younger, and they're gonna ultimately help us predict who's gonna win as a brand and who might not even exist if they fail to pick up on these clear clues. The bottom of the pyramid was food, water, and shelter. The top of the pyramid, self-actualization. Maslow was a great 1940s thinker, but in reality, he did not understand millennial culture. If we take away Wi-Fi today, I promise it will be an all-out panic. By underestimating or even believing the myths about youth culture, brands completely miss the signals that will drive their innovation engine that will allow them to be more profitable and successful. Because the reality is, in this country, youth culture is affecting all of us. First of all, there are a lot of myths. They're not all broke. The fastest growing group of people in this country making over $100,000 are millennials. How many of you would be surprised if I said it had a strong female skew? Because it does. The fastest growing group of people making $250,000 or more, again, millennials.
As a millennial myself, it felt like he knew my mindset on purchasing better than I do.
In marketing and in communications, we deal with those new generations, millennials and Gen Z all the time. It's important for us to understand them better, and this is helpful context for that.
I think Jeff does a fantastic job keeping the crowd engaged. When I sat in the room, I felt the energy go up, particularly when he talked directly about profit and purpose. And I think that's something that we need to be thinking about consistently. It resonates with the consumer, it should resonate with investors as well.
So there are two theories on the origin story. The first theory is that I have 3 millennial-aged kids, and I wanted to understand them. The second is, in 2010 and 11, I led the first large-scale study of millennials as consumers with the Boston Consulting Group. It led me to writing 3 books on millennials and Gen Z, publishing about 1,000 articles in Forbes, my blog, and other places, and speaking to consumers and business leaders all over the world. So how many of you had a view of the world that looked like this? Financial services, healthcare companies saw predictable life stages. It started with school, it ended with family, in some cases divorce, second family, etc. How many of you feel like this was the path you knew growing up? The reality is, it's not this linear anymore. It's a lot harder to predict where someone is in the life stage. Again, more complicated for brands. Brands have to understand this new dynamic requires understanding need states, palate states, things like this versus life stages. With every talk, I try to use data and story to help business leaders take the data and apply it to drive their best possible future. Whatever you're doing today, which might be perfect, may not be perfect tomorrow because consumer culture changes. And it's important to listen to these clues in order to be able to move and innovate at the speed of culture. They were the smallest player in the category if you look at the data. They're not today, and the category isn't sleeping. And the same decisions are likely happening in your space. Otherwise, everyone would have a relationship with the only financial institution who absolutely gave me the best rate or the lowest price on a loan. And yet we know that isn't the case. When I speak, I want to give my audience permission and facts to question the way they fundamentally do business today and the actions they can take immediately when they leave. None of you would put 100% of your bets on one asset class. So why in the world would you put 100% of your bets only on short-term innovation that's going to get a very clear ROI? Let's say I hypothetically had a friend who slept with an open bottle of Mad Dog 2020 on his nightstand. Does my friend have a drinking problem or just really bad taste? Both is the right answer. But most importantly, with my audience, I try to provoke thinking that will drive them to new possibilities. They had a choice to make, either in favor of the consumer or in favor of a contractual agreement. And what did they choose? Every single one of them, within hours, cut ties. Within hours. Brand action trumps brand communication. Brand action is what today's consumer expects from each of you. As long as you're willing to unlearn the myths about millennials and Gen Z and listen to the trends and the facts that they're sharing, your brand has unlimited future potential.